CS in a matter of minutes.
And now Mickey is setting up a freeze on the bot wave, but this is what we expected in the draft. We thought that Canyon would look to try and play through the bot side of the map, and look at how quickly the teleport comes through. G2 are ready to respond. And due to some beautiful play from Perkz and Mickey, through having Mickey stick around, tanking a lot of the damage, then using Perkz to get out to safety. Yes, it cost them a couple of summoner spells, but they were able to find a kill. They were able to burn both teleports out from Noguri and Showmaker, and G2 now find themselves with a 1k gold lead.
And I think Noguri had no business teleporting to that fight. You're a level 5 Kayle. What are you really going to contribute there? And now he's going to be so massively behind as we see Wunder is going to pick up this huge wave. Noguri is going to be way down in the experience, and it can be pretty difficult to play out a game from this type of position.
And if you're a G2 fan looking back at those Griffin games, seeing the way that Mickey was caught out repeatedly, that is exactly the start that you want in a best-of-5, as Caps now starting to pull ahead in some of these trades. But overall, G2 looking much more confident than the last time we saw them.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're not being over-eager to try and force anything. They're just managing their waves so well in this early game, and they're working with pressure. They're not trying to force plays unnecessarily. And now that the bot lane has no summoner spells, this is when G2 has to be at their most cautious, because you would imagine that Canyon will look for another play on the bot side. He has just crested that level 6 mark. He has the kick available, and it's very easy to set up plays with the Leona in the bot lane.
Wunder, though, looking for the all-in, but he doesn't realize Canyon's here. Divine Judgment has now come out. Canyon now trying to come in. He's going to get kicked back. Will guarantee the Sonic Wave follow. That's going to be it for Wunder. Canyon gets the kill.
That is critical there for DAMWON. Wunder was pulling so far ahead in this 1v1, but Wunder had no vision in the river, no flash available, so Canyon elects to go top lane and does punish that, and that is going to help Noguri to stay alive in this lane.
Does give an avenue, though, for Jankos, knowing that he's isolated on the bottom side. That can force a 3v2 situation. But Nuclear and Barrel are not going to take the bait. Barrel has to be careful about stepping forward, however.
And critically, Jankos isn't 6. I'm not sure how close he is. He just got it off the minion, so now they're going to go.
Huge. Channeling Predators now coming out. Has to flash away from the knockup. Jankos is going to commit to the play anyway. That's the knockback. Nuclear flashing out. Good patience. Good movement coming in from Nuclear.
So G2 are able to force 2 flashes out from DAMWON's bot lane. Fortunately for them, they can make some sort of trade happen, but Canyon now back out onto the map will look to start pathing towards bot, and we'll see if he can make anything happen back as G2 looking for another skirmish in the bot side. They've set up the wave beautifully once again, as this wave should actually be pushing towards Mickey and Perkz. Oh, okay, never mind. They've just changed that. They want to try and get the push in, then go for an early base.
See what items they can pick up for now. Perkz and Canyon neck and neck in terms of the overall gold value. Canyon has been having an incredibly solid early game performance. 57 to the 41 CS of Jankos, already finding that kill on the top side. You're going to have to respect that Warrior Lee Sin. So strong at this point in the game.
And again, look at the positioning of Noguri. He recognizes that people are missing. They could look for a dive, and every time there's a snack, oh, we see a fight pot.
He's going to find the knockup. Canyon's on the way down. The ultimate now coming out from Mickey. He's going to try to retreat. Perkz with no flash available, but does have the ultimate. Canyon will not connect the Sonic Wave, but should indicate the stop in the play. He's trying to force out the ultimate for Perkz. Perkz waiting as long as possible to do so. Showmaker on the way in, and now Perkz is vulnerable. Canyon, is he going to take this kick in? Yes, he will fall up on a Mickey. Showmaker now coming in. They will not find the snare onto the Blanc, and Perkz, that should be it. He should be dead, but the heal comes out. Perkz is still alive. Mickey still holding on. The kick comes in from the Lee Sin, but Mickey trying his best to turn it back. DWG coming out on top.
And it ends up with DWG finally finding the plays bot that they wanted to make, but it's not at the cost of nothing. G2 are pressuring on the other side of the map, and it is a constant tug of war between these two teams, constantly trading sides of the map, trading summoner spells, and it looks like in terms of the gold, G2 are going to come out on top.
I think they're going to come out way on top. Look at all these plates. The solo first turret gold is going to go over here to Wunder, and we are quickly approaching that 50 CS deficit that I had mentioned earlier. Wunder is going to be so far ahead of Noguri, and G2 have just done an excellent job of slow pushing the top wave, getting pressure mid lane, grouping up with a jungler, and zoning Kayle off experience NCS time and time again. You can see this enormous difference.
And just fantastic from Wunder after what looked to be pretty close at level 3. Noguri now has to be careful, though. He's just going to get taken out. This Divine Judgment will not save him. And that's it. The Kayle knocked out of this game. The flash out to safety, but the barrel just for style points to finish him off.
Jankos really wanted Perkz to get that kill. Perkz obviously doesn't want to commit the flash there, though, so once Kayle flashes away, you just take it as the Gragas.
And if we just look at the state of the map right now, G2 has so much more control, because by taking down the top tower, this now opens up Wonder to start moving around the map, and it also gives Jankos a bit more freedom to invest in his bot lane. And this is when we get to see a bit more of a G2 classic, where Mickey and Jankos starts becoming this roaming death duo. They will group up together, and they'll start moving around the map to set up vision, look for picks, and if they can, they're going to look to try and contest this Rift Tower.
Have to keep our eyes on Wonder. We'll throw down the Empowered Shock Blast. You'll know that this is happening. A control ward as well gives them loose information. As Perkz is just going to start breaking down these tower plates, though. The Rift Herald really only going to guarantee 2, so Perkz happy to make this trade as he'll be able to grab a few for himself. Mickey now poking his head in, just trying to threaten, but there is no backup there. Jankos has opted to use this time as a back, and DAMWON gonna make up for a little bit of that bot pressure by grabbing the Herald for themselves.
I think it's a smart play from DAMWON. Just try to play where you are strong. Try to play away from G2, because G2 is in such a commanding position on that top side of the map right now. You do not want to have any sort of a fight involving Wonder and Nagari if you are DAMWON.
It's a good, as you rightly said, good trade. Largely because they know that Perkz is eventually going to take this tower. There's not much they can do about it. So to be able to regain some map control and a couple of plates, they will use the Herald up towards top side. And this also allowed Mickey to come up and help support G2. So again, we've been talking a lot about ebb and flow back and forth, and it just feels like G2 have been coming out ahead in a lot of these trades, largely just because it feels like they have read what DAMWON wanted to do and have done everything in their power to try and stop it.
And these matchups are so interesting for me, because when you are playing up against a Kayle, there's so much pressure on the opposing team to get something done, to really execute on it and create these advantages. This is something we were talking about during the last series when we were watching Lucian into Gangplank. And I think that G2 have really shown exactly how you can create those advantages, even if the Kayle player is playing smart and not dying in lane. Nagari actually never died in the top lane, but got so far behind because of how they're manipulating the waves, because of how they're timing their roams with the mid and jungle. And I think this is something that is really beautiful to watch from G2 and so well orchestrated.
And what does it mean for the mid game? Well, DAMWON now don't have that many options, because the Kayle hasn't even completed the first item yet, whereas G2 have so much gold on top of Wonder, and at this point with a single item, both Caps and Perkz feel very strong. It just gives G2 a lot more freedom to set up for the Drakes, siege up onto the mid tier 1, and it's up to DAMWON to play more on the defensive. They have to slow the game down a little bit now, because they're going to have to wait for these item spikes to come through, and they're going to rely a little bit more on the scaling aspect of their comp to be able to turn this one around.
And to be able to do that, they need to make sure that they're at least maintaining some level of vision. Because if you see all vision on the map, Kayle cannot actually step forward and get this farm. It's a very dangerous place up here right now for Nagari. There's no tier 1 turret defending him. There's no wards whatsoever, but he knows he needs to reset the wave, and looks like he will be able to do it because they don't have the information on where Canyon is at this moment.
Has to be careful though. Wonder's just waiting in the darkness. He's okay giving up a couple CS, because if Nagari missteps there, he goes down in the 1v1. But we said this before, early game dominance, we knew from the start. This was the MO for G2, and they have found success. But for DAMWON, now they need to hold the line. Now they need to survive. And so far, they're struggling. But without a mid lane tower broken down yet, it's hard for G2 to further snowball this lead.
And, ooh, hang on. Oh, good awareness there from Mickey, not going to fall for that trap. And when I was watching a lot of the games for DAMWON, something that they were very good at was punishing the mistakes of their opposition. And they would get large early game leads thanks to Canyon, and then coming into the mid game, they would find these opportunities where they would punish, and they would rely on Beryl to force these engages. But they don't have a lead. They're at a pretty big deficit, so I'm curious as to how DAMWON now adapt their mid game. Will they continue to try and force fights as they typically have, or will they just kind of take their foot off the accelerator and just completely slow the game down, set up a lot of defensive vision? Because right now we're seeing a lot more defensive vision on the map, and it seems like DAMWON are going for more of this defensive approach.
I think the plan is going to be play away from the Jace for the rest of this game until Kayle gets to late game. You look for 4v4s. If Kayle shows top, you look for a play on bot side 4v4, because gold is still fairly even if you're actually excluding the Jace and the Kayle from the picture. And I think DAMWON will feel comfortable to take those types of fights, but they have to make sure that they're never in a position where the Kayle and the Jace are involved in the fight, because in those situations, they're such a disadvantage for them.
And inevitably, then we have to look at the duo currently on your screen, Showmaker and Canyon. Showmaker doing fine, relatively even in the mid lane. Canyon with a lead of his own. So maybe they can make some picks. Maybe they can slow down the game. There should be some options. You have a LeBlanc, you have a Lee Sin. You can still one-shot someone, even if they have the slight gold lead.
And we saw them looking for that over by the blue buff, but Mickey was able to suss it out. He was able to detect the fact that these guys could be waiting in that brush, because if you do face check, into at least in LeBlanc, you can get popped.
You should get popped. Just a miserable situation to play against. But even then, you see Wonder playing very far back, does not have information on the Lee Sin, waits for him to be spotted on the ward before he steps forward. But now Nagari has to be careful, wants to break this tower down, and will be able to do so.
And that is because, again, they got vision on this upper side of the map. You can see all the wards in the river that DAMWON have actually committed, and that is trying to get gold on this Kayle. That is saying, if our Lee and LeBlanc are off the map, Wonder, you don't get to play League of Legends. You have to back off now. The shoe is on the other foot. And that is buying time for Nagari to get to a stronger point in this game.
I think for G2, what they would like to do right now is set up for a play onto mid. They've done a pretty good job of controlling the bot side of the map, which is kind of put Wonder in this situation. It's like, well, I have to catch this wave, but I recognize that my entire team is on the other side of the map. And you can see now Jankos hovering around his top laner to make sure that he is very safe. And I think that what we'll now see is Xayah look to push up bot, and then we'll see the Jace come up towards mid with the Gragas, and they'll look to try and threaten this tower, because now with the plates down, it should be a lot easier to siege. And with the amount of poke that comes out from a Syndra and a Jace, it should be possible for G2 to be able to take this tower down, and then they can start pushing their vision further up into the enemy jungle.
And I think that's a great idea, because if you land a little bit of poke even from this Jace, from this Syndra, you have the go button of the Gragas, of the Rakan, who can then threaten to dive in and finish off those kills. So G2 have set themselves up well. And that is why we see the Jace going up this mid lane. They're looking to try to set up this sort of a situation, but it does start with getting vision out around this area so that Jace and Syndra have these angles to poke from that DAMWON can't necessarily see coming.
You also want to threaten a flank, and you can see how Perkz pushes up bot and then moves in with Mickey into the jungle. This forces DAMWON to respect that a dive could happen, and now they find the pick.
Big Capse manages to find the kill there. Meanwhile, Nagari just farming on the bottom side, doing what he can, but this is going to be the mid tier 1 broken down for G2.
And DAMWON did not respect it. We talked about how they needed to respect the possible dive. The setup and execution was flawless from G2, and they will turn it into another tier 2 tower. Beautiful play from G2 Esports.
That is 2 turrets, and it's just going to be a TP back to defend their tier 2. So Kayle not really able to answer too much here. The only thing DAMWON got was a bit of farm on their carries, on Nuclear and Nagari, and they lost both mid lane turrets, which is going to mean they're going to see control in their jungle. They're going to see control around that Baron area, and that is so problematic when you have these champions like Kayle who are not very safe and need to get farm and experience.
And it's one of those things where we talk a lot about how G2 know how to balloon an early gold lead, and it's because while they are known for their skirmishing, their individual players, they're also very good at recognizing how to play smart League of Legends. And the reason why we could sit here and talk about this is what G2 is going to do is because it's textbook. It sits there, it's a very obvious play that DAMWON did not respect, and it's largely off the back of this early game advantage that G2 have built up for themselves. And now DAMWON really have to avoid trying to fight. They've now got the Gunblade onto Nagari. They have the Luden's Echo on Showmaker, and the best hope that DAMWON can look for is like trying to find picks with the Lee Sin and the LeBlanc. Alternatively, or they just look. I mean, it's hard because of the gold deficit that they find themselves in. So, like, I honestly just feel
they can do this. Oh, no, never mind.
Wait,
Just right there. Wait, they could go top. Oh, no, never mind.
And that's the power. Once you break down that mid lane tier 1 tower and you got to put all this vision in, as you were talking about, Azael, look at this. They have 4 people stacked just to make sure that Kai'Sa can get the wolves without dying.
But it's also just about how
It's a nature retreat.
it's about how G2 are using their pressure that is so impressive to me. And look at how they maintain full river control across the entire map. And now they're setting up for the mountain. Jace will push up top. He'll start walking down to mid. He'll catch that wave. And then they can just set up for that objective easy peasy. And I wouldn't be surprised if G2 also look for an early Baron, because that's the best way to force DAMWON into an early fight, which G2 is very confident they can win.
It is, and this double mountain will set up really well for that, because now all of a sudden you have to respect the threat of that objective going down even more quickly. This is just very textbook play from G2, and they're executing incredibly well. Push out top lane from Wonder, move down to mid lane, get mid lane control, move into that blue buff jungle, get full vision in that area, and the Drake hasn't even started spawning yet.
So the only thing that G2 are now worried about is the risk-taking nature that DAMWON has. They are known for doing 20-minute Barons, and now they're going to try and force it.
Risking a lot here. Nagari, though, level 12. Love the Divine Judgment, but that is very bold call from DAMWON.
But they kind of have to, because of the situation they find themselves in. They know that after G2 take Mountain, the Baron is the next play, so they're like, maybe there's a small window where we can sneak this one away, but G2 have too much vision.
Beryl committing the flash there, trying to catch Wonder, but not rewarded with anything. And I respect the attempt, right? You go for that. If G2 is 5-man on the Dragon, sleep at the wheel a little bit, you get that Baron, hey, you're right back in it. You have to take your shots at plays like this, but as soon as G2 sees you, they can just split up their numbers, have 1 or 2 people doing the Dragon, the rest of them can harass around that Baron, and a 20-minute Baron does so much damage to a team like DAMWON that you can't just really do it in the face of your opponents.
Yep. And it's clear that that was kind of the plan B.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about plan A. I like to call it Project Nagari, called get the Kayle to as many items as humanly possible, because this guy has been a huge force. Yes, you normally associate him with picks like the Vladimir, but the Kayle is still that late-game powerhouse if they can get to a stage where they can stabilize the game, and puts a lot of pressure on G2 to close out as quickly as possible.
It is possible that they can get him to that stage, but as you get further and further behind in gold in the matchup, it kind of pushes that point where you can take over later and later into the game. And normally, Kayle kind of turns online at 2 items. In this game, I think you're probably going to need 3 before you're really becoming relevant in that 1v1 against Wunder, and that's still going to take him quite some time.
And as G2 fish for a play there, we can check in on Wunder's build. Has opted to go for the tier build into the Mount Immune, into the Black Cleaver, so will still be much stronger than the average full lethality Jace on 2 to 3 items.
So look at how G2 have now abandoned bot lane. They do not care about this tier 1 tower. It doesn't matter. The gold, irrelevant. What they do care about is utilizing numbers advantage to force their way into the enemy jungle and setting up vision. They have top wave pushed in, they're pushing in mid lane, and now they can look to force a fight around Baron.
And G2 also has no TP, so they're trying to force the TP out of Nagari. So it's the job of the rest of the DAMWON members to hold the line here and buy time. Because if Wunder goes down to answer that Kayle, all of a sudden DAMWON can make a positive numbers play on the top side of the map utilizing that teleport.
And you can see Showmaker, Barrel, everyone on the DAMWON gaming side is trying to hover in the fog of war. They still have a lot of CC. They have a lot of engaged threat. Yes, they might not be able to kill all 5 members of G2, but they can get a favorable fight if they can pick off 1.
And this was huge for DAMWON because they actually didn't buy the bait, right? They stayed down there. They held onto the TP. Nagari's going to have to get out of here. He could get caught by Wunder. We'll see.
Shock blast into the brush. Will miss! Oh! He misses the blast cone over the wall and the shock blast into the brush. He's going to be scratching his head when he looks back at that one after this.
That can be game-changing. If you get caught there and you kill, G2 may have had the confidence to actually start a Baron and try to really challenge DAMWON. Instead, he gets to take the tower for free. He's actually closing the CS gap quite a lot. He's hit his 2nd item. And he's going to be feeling really, really good about these last couple minutes.
Now the pressure, once again, continues to be on G2 to try to find a setup, to try to get something done. Maybe the Baron is an option for them, but do not want to just go in 5v5. The double mountain, not enough to make sure that they get untouched by the Baron in the coming fights. Don't have that true tank with this composition, so need to be careful about committing to this one, as Caps just throwing down some spheres, ready for the setup over the wall.
And you have to give so much credit to this 4-man squad of DAMWON, who have been doing a really good job maintaining vision, not getting engaged on, not getting caught out, because it's not as though G2 doesn't have great engage. They have the Gragas as well as this Rakan, and many teams in this kind of spot would have just gotten picked off, would have actually already died and ceded the game, but they have really been holding the line, making sure they keep their vision pushed forward far enough to continually keep tabs on this Baron, and also buying so much time for the Kayle.
So my theory is that they're waiting for Perks to hit his next item, which I believe should come through any second now. There it is. So this was the moment that I think G2
Had a few more W's there.
Because you've now got 3 items on the Jace, you have 3 items on the Xayah, Oblivion Orb is also completed for Caps, and I think G2 is now confident in saying, all right, any fight that DAMWON take against us will win. And so this is when I expect G2 to be a lot more aggressive. And again, we see Wunder grouping up with the team. Even though his TP is up, they want to leverage the fact that they have 5 people. And the wave, I believe, is slow pushing in the bot lane as well. So G2 are in a position where they're saying, all right, DAMWON, no more stalling, no more slowing down the game. Time to fight or time to lose.
Perks even just grabbed his red buff, so he is ready to go. This is about as strong as you can be at this point in the game.
They're forcing some recalls out. Showmaker, of course, has the TP, wants to go back and finish up an item. Maybe the Banshees to come out just to give him a little bit of safety up against the Syndra, up against the pick potential of a Gragas Rakan, and that's the TP coming in. They're going to try to commit onto Showmaker. Mickey still has the dance to get out to safety if he needs to make his way out, but TP forced out, meaning G2 are feeling pretty comfortable. No surprise flanks going to come in unless Nagari wants to get real aggressive on that Kale, and that's the start to the Baron. The rest of G2 just trying to body block.
Just doing it. They have the double mountain. Look how quickly this is going down.
Feral, though, is going to sniff this one out. They are going to pull back. They're just baiting. They just want DAMWON to come into them. They want to take this fight. They've got the 3 items on Perks. They're going to try to engage. They're going to force the ult out early. Barrel's going to be locked up, but he might give his life, but it's Showmaker on the flank. Perks will not get locked up. It's a massive, but Nuclear in the midst of the team. The Kale ulti comes down, but they play around it well. Canyon now has to go down, though, in the midst of the fight. Oh! Showmaker coming in! Is that enough, though? 3 carries still strong on the side of G2. The supportive members have been taken down. It's a double kill for Perks. Still an even exchange overall.
A very close fight between the two teams, and it's because Beryl soaks up so much of the damage. With the Kale ultimate and the tankiness of Leona, DAMWON actually stall out the fight long enough to allow Showmaker to come in and actually swing the fight into a very even situation. This was the best case scenario for DAMWON.
It was. You got to see that Kale-Kaisa combo at work. It was a snap engage here from DAMWON. I'm actually surprised they decided to opt into this fight. I think they could have just continued to buy time. But it is a good engage nevertheless. You can see them flying in. Showmaker getting so much damage off with the distortions. And there is the Kale ult plus the Nuclear Kaisa ult flying into the backline. But then this moment right here, flash distort.
And you can see at the end of the fight as well how low so many DAMWON gaming members were and how close that fight could have been.
And of course that and your What's Your Move replay brought to you by Axe Gaming. The move was survive. Hold on. The Kale will be more powerful, and if fights keep going even, eventually they're going to shift in the favor of DAMWON. So once again, pressure is on G2.
Nagari is now level 15, closing in on the permanent exalted status at 16. You get so much more damage at that level, as well as the additional range. He's working towards his Lichbane. That 3-item mark is really where things are going to get tough. You can just straight up start winning those 1v1s very comfortably through short trades against that Jace. When you have a Lichbane, 1Q plus an E auto with that Lichbane proc can really chunk out someone like that Jace. So it does get difficult, and DAMWON have bought so much time that this gold lead, I think, means very little at this point for G2. It's going to come down to execution. They have not yet been able to find the forces on the kind of fights that they really did want.
And one of the hardest things for G2 is that they don't have any true tank.
This could be big.
I don't know if they... Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Do they see it?
Waiting in the darkness. So coming around the corner. Nagari, they're going to try to force an ult out early, but Nagari's quite strong. Probably not strong enough, though. Divine Judgment coming down. It will not connect. Cap's going to look to finish that one off,
That's
but Wonder
huge.
will grab the kill.
That's a big pick, and you can immediately see DAMWON heading to Baron and be like, get as much vision down as we can. We need to be in a position where we can contest this Baron. But for now, G2 is saying, we don't care about the Baron. We're going to push in bot. We have a big wave. Now we're going to force you to choose, because G2 can two-man the Baron with Jankos and Perks, which means that G2 can just threaten these two situations right now.
And Nagari's the only teleport available for DAMWON. So Showmaker shows down here. G2 can actually start up the Baron, and they have kind of checkmated them at this point. They're threatening the Baron. They have no one that can answer this, or G2 will just do it for free. So now it is in this no-win situation. G2 are just going to be able to take the inhibitor.
Exactly what they wanted in the exchange, putting DAMWON gaming between a rock and a hard place. There was no right choice for them to make. They'll give up the inhibitor in the process. Madrid comes alive as G2 finally break the base of DAMWON.
And it was such a smart decision as well. Not only were they able to find a pick onto Nagari, but many teams would just commit to Baron and say, hey, we're 5v4, let's just play for that objective. But they realized we can two-man it. We have double mountain, we have Xayah plus Gragas who've already proven that they can melt through this objective. So let's just actually keep the map split and force DAMWON into this situation. We'd be like, and then they couldn't decide what to do in the pressure, so they end up losing their bot laning game.
It was great decision-making. Also, a lot of credit to tracking the teleport cooldown on Showmaker. I don't think that they go for that sort of play if they don't know that the teleport is down. So G2 really making it work after a good 10 minutes of stalling out where it felt like the game was moving more and more in DAMWON's favor. G2 find a huge pick, and they survive.
The problem that G2 is still going to find themselves in is that they don't have a dedicated tank that can just sit there and hold on to the Baron, which means they need to either find a good fight or a good pick. Which means DAMWON, they're actually, it's not the end of the world. Yes, they lost their bot inhib, but Nagari is going to keep farming up. He has good wave clear. He still has his teleport available. So the responsibility still falls on G2 to force a play, which always means that DAMWON, as long as they play safe and patiently, are still in this game.
And Nagari's 16 now. And a level 16 Kale eats those super minions alive. We'll see if they want to fight here. Showmaker is pathing down, but DAMWON want to maintain control of this mid lane.
And you can see both teams playing at the edge, trying to stay out of max range of either side's respective engage
They're just
options.
going to take the turret.
Now DAMWON want to force G2 between a rock and a hard place. They want to push down the mid lane. They're going to look to break this tower open. G2 will have first access to the Baron, a massive wave pushing bot side. Nagari does have TP, but these supers will need to be answered. Wonder not going to get picked off on the side. 7k health. Baron dropping. Barrel on the way in. Canyon on the way in. They need to back off. Barrel into the midst of the entire team, and that's Nuclear right into the backside. Perks wants to get something done, but this might just be the fight. Canyon goes golden, tries to buy a bit more time. Wonder going into the backside as well. He sees his opportunity. Caps still alive, but Canyon, will he reactivate the feathers from downtown? And Perks might have just saved his mid laner's life. The TP coming in, and what a perfect G2 way to potentially end a game. Cap has he overstayed. Super minions will come down. G2 will be forced to back away. DAMWON Gaming will stay alive for now.
But we're now seeing how these fights are going in DAMWON's favor. The Kayle is doing so much. Beryl can stall for so long, and the combo of Kai'Sa and Kayle in the late game is just so difficult to deal with.
The critical mistake there was Wonder separated from the team. He was looking to actually play interference, but as soon as they spot Wonder here, they know he cannot now join the team. Wonder has to run the long way around, so Beryl says, let's go. In goes Nuclear with that Kayle ultimate. The Kayle ultimate with this AP Kayle dealing so much damage in the back line. By the time Wonder gets there, most of his carries have been shredded, but that feather pull there from Perks, getting an additional kill, may have saved them from losing a Baron.
So close, and you can see the pressure that G2 is in. They have maintained such great control pretty much for the early to mid-game portions, but they have not been able to secure this Baron, and without the Baron, it is very difficult for them to end the game, which means DAMWON have just been playing patient. They've been buying their time, and now G2, they're trying to put their foot on the gas once again as they knock on the doors of another inhibitor tower.
Hard forcing mid lane, opening themselves up to a flank. DAMWON Gaming, though, we'll just pull back. We'll just defend the inhibitor. Big chunk of damage down on Nuclear, but G2 taking control for now. It only gets harder in the upcoming team fights. Have to execute flawlessly, or they will find themselves outscaled.
I mean, we said this game was gonna, we said this series was gonna be close, and both these teams are demonstrating it now. The individual prowess is fantastic on both sides, and now that Showmaker has hit level 16, this LeBlanc also cannot afford to be underestimated. If she catches you out of position, that's going to be a dead, or at the very least, a chunked out target. But G2 now on the Baron.
Mickey now pulling back. Wonder doing a lot of damage to Canyon. Lee Sin chunked out, very low energy. Might not be able to make it to the pit in time. Zaya has been getting stronger and stronger. Can they get this one? Can he make his way into the pit? Can he be the hero? But he can. He flashes in, and maybe just to his death, G2 will take the Baron. They'll take the jungler too, and now they're going to look to end the game.
And G2 finally get the objective they have been fighting for the last 15 minutes. With the Baron buff and with Canyon dead, they have their eyes set on DAMWON's Nexus.
Yanko's buying time, stopping the recall from Barrel. It'll at least be a second inhibitor. They have a creep wave to back them up. Supers are crashing in on the bottom side.
They want the end. It's only one Nexus turret, and it is a 5v4 with Baron.
All eyes on Showmaker, Nagari, Nuclear, Barrel. Can he protect them? Will it be enough to stop G2's onslaught as they push in? The Baron buff backing them up as they move in. Barrel fishing for the engage, looking. Nagari doing a lot of damage, but here comes Mickey X looking for the engage. The Divine Judgment. Nuclear into the backside. The Kai'Sa is big, but not big enough. Goes golden. Buys a second, but it's just a brief moment of pause before the game will end. G2 coming through. Showmaker and Canyon will not be enough. G2's going into the fountain as if they could do anything else to end a game. And in style, G2 will close out game one in this best-of-5 series.
Oh, an impressive early to mid game from G2, but DAMWON, they held on extremely well. We questioned what they would be doing in the mid game, and they took a defensive stance. They maintained such effective vision around their half of the jungle. They never made that Baron easy for G2, knowing that they had no dedication.